It was a quiet night in a small apartment on the edge of Seattle. The rain tapped gently against the windows, and Ethan, a 28-year-old software designer, was exhausted after hours of coding. He left his laptop open on the desk, planning to finish his project the next morning. But when he woke up, something was wrong, very wrong. The screen was still glowing faintly, and new folders sat on his desktop titled "Do Not Open." Ethan swore he hadn't created it. His fingers hovered over the mouse, hesitation mixing with curiosity. When he finally clicked, the folder contained dozens of images, all screenshots of him sleeping, taken from his laptop's webcam. Each image had a timestamp, all between 2 a.m. and 3:15 a.m. At first, Ethan thought it was a prank. But when he checked the camera light history, he realized the webcam had indeed turned on multiple times that night. The laptop's activity log showed remote access. Someone had connected to his system while he slept. He changed his passwords, disconnected the Wi-Fi, and even taped the webcam. But the next night, another folder appeared, this time named "We See You." Inside it was a short video. It showed him standing in the kitchen at 3 a.m., eyes open but completely still, as if sleepwalking. Except he had no memory of it. The more he tried to delete the files, the more they multiplied. His antivirus found nothing. The folders began appearing even when the laptop was unplugged. Terrified, Ethan threw it into the trash. But the next morning, his phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "You shouldn't have thrown it away." He looked up from his phone and saw his webcam light flicker on again. After the first horrifying incident, Ethan tried to convince himself it was just a glitch, maybe a corrupted software or some creepy hacker messing around. He bought a brand new laptop, updated all his security, and installed a professional firewall. Everything seemed fine for a few nights, until he logged in one morning and saw something impossible. There was a new user account on his laptop, one he hadn't created. It was named simply guest_03. Confused, Ethan tried deleting it, but every time he rebooted, the account reappeared. Stranger still, the wallpaper on that account was a picture of his living room, taken from a low angle, like a camera had been hidden somewhere inside his house. Panic started to set in. He unplugged every device, searched the walls, checked smoke detectors, even called his friend Mason, a cybersecurity analyst. Mason remotely checked the logs and went silent for a few seconds before asking, "Ethan, are you sure no one else lives with you?" Because the system record showed that the guest_03 account had been logging in physically, not remotely. It was as if someone was sitting at his keyboard during the night. Ethan started setting up his phone camera to record the room overnight. The next morning, he reviewed the footage and froze. Around 2:37 a.m., he saw his own laptop lid slowly open by itself. The keyboard flickered and faint typing sounds filled the audio. But the most chilling part? For a few seconds, a human shadow passed across the wall, tall, still, and facing directly toward the camera. When Ethan turned to look behind him at that very moment, he noticed something on the floor, a single USB stick labeled guest_03. He picked it up carefully, realizing that whatever was haunting him wasn't just digital anymore. Ethan sat frozen, staring at the USB labeled guest_03. Against every instinct, he plugged it in. The drive contained a single video file named Plan MP4. Hesitating, he opened it and immediately regretted it. The screen showed a dimly lit room, his room, filmed from the corner near his desk. In the video, Ethan was asleep, but something was moving behind him. A tall, shadowy figure leaned close to the laptop screen, whispering in a distorted voice that sounded eerily familiar. "Keep the laptop open. We're not finished yet." Terrified, Ethan yanked the USB out, but the file didn't disappear. In fact, it started replicating itself across his system, hundreds of copies flooding his desktop within seconds. He tried deleting them, formatting the drive, even restarting his computer, but each reboot only made things worse. Now, every time he powered on, the laptop automatically opened the video and played it on repeat. Desperate, Ethan reached out to Mason again. When Mason connected remotely, his tone changed immediately. "Ethan, I'm seeing another active connection here. Someone else is logged in right now." Before Ethan could reply, his screen flickered and the webcam turned on by itself. Mason's voice came through the call, panicked. "Ethan, someone's watching you from your own camera feed." Ethan slammed the laptop shut, heart pounding, but his phone suddenly vibrated with a notification. A message from an unknown number read, "You shouldn't have closed it." He threw the phone across the room. Then the lights flickered, and his laptop lid slowly lifted open again, the same video playing, only this time, the figure on screen wasn't behind him. It was sitting right in front of the camera, smiling. Ethan hadn't slept in 2 days. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw that same grinning figure from the video. He had already smashed the USB, disconnected Wi-Fi, and even removed the battery from his laptop. But somehow, the screen still turned on at night, glowing faintly in the dark like an open eye watching him back. He decided enough was enough. He packed the laptop and drove to Mason's place across town. Mason, being a cybersecurity expert, set up a clean workstation to analyze the device. He plugged the laptop in, and the moment it powered up, all 3 monitors in the room went black. A message appeared across every screen. "It followed you." Mason frowned, typing furiously. "This isn't possible. The system's offline." Ethan's stomach turned. "Offline? Then how is it sending messages?" The lights flickered again. The air grew cold. One of Mason's cameras rotated by itself and pointed directly at them. Then a strange metallic whisper filled the room, like static laced with breathing. Mason unplugged everything, yanked out the power cord, but the laptop screen stayed on. The shadowy figure appeared again, standing in what looked like Mason's office, the exact same room they were in. The figure on the screen raised its hand and pointed toward the camera. And then, the security monitor next to them blinked to life, showing live footage from the hallway outside. Someone, or something, was walking toward the door. Mason's voice broke into a whisper. "Ethan, it's here." They both backed away, eyes fixed on the screen. A knock echoed through the room. Once, twice. Then the door handle began to turn, slowly. The laptop made a soft, chiming sound as the folder titled guest_03 reappeared again, this time with a new file name. "Welcome back." Mason locked the door and pulled Ethan away from the desk. The laptop screen now displayed scrolling lines of code, fast and chaotic, but between the symbols, words began to form. "Ethan, don't run." Mason, pale but determined, started analyzing the code. "This is a malware," he said quietly. "It's responsive. It's writing itself as we speak." The words kept changing, as if someone on the other end was typing in real time. Then, suddenly, the code froze and rearranged itself into coordinates. 47.6097N, 122.3331W, a location in downtown Seattle. Ethan's pulse quickened. That was near an old warehouse where he used to work part-time 3 years ago. The same place where a coworker named Liam had died after an accidental fall from balcony. Ethan had always felt guilty about that night. He'd left early, leaving Liam alone to finish debugging a project. Now, the messages were saying, "You left me there. Now I'm here." Mason stared at him. "Who's Liam?" Ethan's throat went dry. He was my partner. He died in front of that computer." Suddenly, the power went out. The only light came from the laptop, glowing unnaturally bright. The camera switched on again, and for a brief moment, Ethan saw Liam's reflection on the black screen behind his own. His face was pale, eyes hollow, lips trembling, whispering words Ethan could barely make out. "You left me. Now I'll never log out." Then the laptop crashed, smoke curling from the vents. The screen went dark, but the faint sound of typing continued, echoing softly from the speakers, even though the system was completely dead. Mason looked at Ethan, horrified. "It's not a laptop anymore," he said slowly. "It's in you." That night, Ethan couldn't shake the sound of the typing. It echoed in his mind like a metronome, steady, rhythmic, unending. He sat on his couch, staring at the lifeless shell of his laptop, which now felt more like a tombstone than a machine. Mason had taken it apart, every circuit inspected, yet somehow the soft clicking sound still followed Ethan everywhere. He tried sleeping, but every time he closed his eyes, he saw flashes, fragments of code, flashing images of Liam's pale face, and the words "keep it open." At 3:03 a.m., his phone screen lit up by itself. A message appeared from an unknown sender. "We're not done debugging." His hands trembled as he typed back, "Who are you?" The reply came instantly. "You know who I am." Moments later, the lights in his apartment began to flicker. His smart TV turned on, showing a live feed of his own living room, filmed from somewhere behind him. The camera view slowly zoomed and toward his back. He spun around, but no one was there. Then his phone rang. It was Mason. "Ethan," Mason whispered urgently, "don't look at the screen." But it was too late. The TV flickered again, showing Ethan sitting exactly as he was, except in the reflection, someone stood behind him, just out of focus. The image shifted. The figure leaned closer and whispered into his ear through the speakers. "You should have stayed that night." Ethan screamed and smashed the TV. But when the screen cracked, the image froze mid-frame. Liam's ghostly face, smiling faintly. And behind the static, for just a second, Ethan saw another reflection. His own face, motionless, eyes black and unblinking, typing on an invisible keyboard. The typing sound didn't stop. It was coming from inside his head. Ethan hadn't left his apartment in days. His windows were covered, mirrors turned around, and every electronic device unplugged, but somehow the typing continued. The noise had evolved from random keystrokes to something that sounded like words, sentences, even echoing faintly through his walls. Mason tried calling several times, but Ethan never answered. On the morning of the fourth day, Mason drove to check on him. The door was unlocked. The apartment smelled like burnt plastic and ozone. The lights were dead, yet Ethan's laptop sat open on the table, glowing faintly with a single file on the desktop, final.txt. Mason hesitated, then double-clicked it. The file opened to a blank screen. Then slowly, one line of text appeared. "You let me back in." Mason froze. Then another line began typing on its own. "Would you like to continue?" Without touching the keyboard, Mason whispered no, but the word yes typed itself automatically. The webcam light flickered on. Mason stepped back, watching as the camera feed appeared, but instead of showing Ethan's apartment, it displayed Mason's own terrified face. A voice came from the speakers, distorted, layered with static. He left it open. "Now you have." The screen went black. Then the laptop restarted by itself, flashing the same phrase over and over. Guest_03 has joined. Mason turned to run, but stopped dead. The reflection on the dark TV screen wasn't his. It was Ethan, standing right behind him, eyes hollow, mouth half open in a silent scream. The next morning, police found both laptops, Ethan's and Mason's, connected to each other by a single cable. On both screens, the same message glowed in pale blue text. "We never log out." No trace of Ethan or Mason was ever found. But that night, a new device connected to the city's Wi-Fi under the name guest_04